There's a certain kind of coach who believes what we believe, who leads people to greatness, who gets people unstuck, who unlocks all of your passion. A coach who helps people discover what drives them, to tap into their superpowers. That knowing your why is the first step to untap potential, to focus, to breakthroughs. A coach who's looking for a better way. Are you that coach?
Hello and welcome to Why Not Wednesday. I am so excited for this show today because we have James Madison on. James Madison is the founder, speaker, trainer, and coach at On Purpose Life LLC, where he helps executives and entrepreneurs become high-performing leaders and helps high-performing leaders create high-performing teams. He has a wealth of leadership wisdom, business experience, and a genuine passion for guiding leaders to maximize their business performance. In 30 years of leadership, James has professionally developed leaders for successful careers while achieving amazing work-life integration for maximum personal fulfillment. We'll definitely have to hear about that. James is passionate about igniting the spark in others to learn, grow, and develop to reach their highest potential. He believes that when you live in purpose, on purpose, you will never work another day in your life. So welcome, James Madison. How are you?
Thank you, Dan. My favorite guy to hang out with. Brother from another mother, I call you.
Thank you so much, James. You know, in the post leading up to today, I was talking about the fact that when I got on the phone on our first Zoom call, I saw that sign behind you and I said, this is the guy I need to be talking to.
That's
Remember
it, right?
your why, right?
That's it.
Love that so much. So, James, your WHY.os is
Better Way. You talked about coaches with Better Way in that video. That was me number one. Better Way.
I'm looking for coaches who are looking for a better way. Your how is simplify, and your what is contribute.
Greater cause and value and significance, brother.
Tell me what that means. If somebody's listening for the first time, what does it mean that your better way, simplify, contribute?
Yeah, it really goes back to this idea of helping people live their life on purpose and achieve the fullest. And so for me, it's finding a better way. I coach a lot of clients that feel stuck and feel they're stuck in what they have to do. And I really help. I call it set people free to live the life they were created to live. So that's Better Way. Right. And I want it to be something that's rapidly applicable. So that's the simplify. Like, don't give 10 steps. I'm a 3-step guy, 1, 2, 3, and then contribute to greater value and significance. That's what it's all about.
I love it. Melissa Walsh is joining us. She says, better way all the way. All right.
Better way,
Melissa.
Baby.
She's got the Minnesota Masterminds. So all the way from Minnesota. Welcome, Melissa Walsh. So, you know, one thing I want to do, James, because the name of the show is Why Not Wednesday. And the question I like to ask is, tell me about a time that you said, why not? And it worked out. And how did it work out? Because a lot of us, you know, I believe that when we get to our deathbed, we're not going to regret what we did. We're going to regret the things we didn't do. So tell me about a time, share with our viewers and listeners, a time you said, why not?
Yeah, I think it's a story of how we met, right? You and I met in April of 2021. And, you know, I was already a why guy, right? Had already done the Simon Sinek Start Your Why. And I was using a process at that time with my clients, which was more that discussion, experience, tell me a story, you know, the workshop type style, right? And then when you talked about a process, being a better way guy in an assessment, it was like, you had me at why, Dan. I told you at the end of the conversation, Dan, you can quit talking, Dan, quit speaking. You had me at why and make it better, right?
Right. I love that. In sales, we always say, look, when you get to the point when the client's ready to buy, you stop talking, right?
Stop talking.
You'll talk yourself out of a sale. And that's where we were. I love that conversation. Initial conversation was so much fun. And every conversation since then has been that same way, James. And you really are one of our avatar coaches in terms of how you use the assessment, how you use the why, how you use the WHY.os. Tell me, how did you learn about Start with Why, and how were you using it before the Why Institute came into your life?
Yeah, so back a few years before I met you, I was living in Connecticut, and we were doing a 25th year revitalization for our church, Word Alive Church in Connecticut, right? And there were two consultants, two Jennifers, Jennifer Cavello and Jennifer Bernheim, who introduced that concept to me for the first time. Start with why, the circle and everything. And that just resonated with my life. Like, I just saw everything as why, how, what, why, how, what. So that was the beginning. And so then as I got into coaching, I had gone through a workshop, a Simon Sinek workshop in July of 2020, was Jumpstart Your Why. And I walked through the process of developing. So I knew that. So that's what I started doing with my clients as part of my signature system called Alignment for Success, helping people understand what I'm calling the personal operating system, right? And I was doing it, but that's conversations, that's stories, that's looking at words. And you came with a better way. And just to tell the rest of the story, Dan, so you and I met in April. I think I signed up in May. In June, I was calling you to put together a webinar, right, for potential client. I sold it in June. I got paid in July. It was for August 21st. I think on August 10th, I decided to go through certification.
Right.
That's where I was like, why not? Why not do it? I know it's what I do. It's going to work. I believe it. And it was amazing.
And you did a great job. I remember we had some conversations about the presentation, and of course you had questions because it was your first time doing it, but you came back and you told us how it went and what a great success that was. You were working with the group out in Virginia, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was a procurement. It was a VA group out of the military, the government, and about 16 of their leaders, and it was amazing.
Fantastic. So I love hearing those stories. What about personally? Tell us about a why not moment personally that you had.
Yeah, I think when I spent 25 years in the corporate world, and then I pivoted in 2019 before pivot became a cool word in kind of the pandemic, and honestly, I had a coach that said to me, he said, what do you want to do now? You've done 25 years there. What is it you want to do? And I'm like, I don't want to go back to that. He said, what do you want to do? And I said, the thing that appeals to me most would be to be an executive recruiter.
Yeah.
I'd worked with an executive recruiter in Los Angeles when I ran a plant, and I loved what he did. And I told him years ago, his name is Ron. Ron, when I retire from doing what I have to do to make money, remember, I got the velvet handcuffs on of the corporate gang and the benefits and the options, right? And when I can do what I want to do, when I retire, I'm going to do what you do. So my coach said, why not do that right now? And I went, hell yeah, I'm going to do that now. And so literally, Dan, that week I went to the gym to my Saturday morning Zumba class, because Zumba is my cardio of choice to this day. I'll be there this Saturday. I met a lady. She was an executive recruiter. 7 days later, I went to work with her. Law of attraction, right? Just because I knew what I wanted to do and I just had no idea, put it out there, went to work with Sylvia. She's always part of my story about how I got to where I am. And for a year, I was an executive recruiter during the pandemic.
Love that. Love that. So, you just mentioned the law of attraction. So you're also John Maxwell coach.
Yeah.
How does the WHY.os fit into what you do? Because you're a John Maxwell coach. You use the core values index, you use DISC. How does the WHY.os get incorporated into those tools that you already have?
Here's how I break it down very simply. My company's called On Purpose Life, right? Yeah. And so it's this idea of living in purpose, on purpose, with passion. Passion is the fuel. You don't chase after the passion, you chase after the purpose, right? In purpose, on purpose, with passion. And then I say you'll never work a day in your life, because all the blessings, all the resources, all the people, the opportunities, they chase after and overtake you. Like, you attract so much that it's overflow. Like I said to you, that when you said, how are you doing? I said, Dan, brother, I am sipping from the saucer because my cup overflows.
I love it.
That's attraction. That's not me. That's just vibrating and doing the things and attracting what I need to fulfill that purpose. That's what I help people do.
Lisa Ma commented last week on a post that I had. She said, when you put out your vibration, you attract people with your vibe. You
You do.
attract people who believe what you believe. And so she called it soul tribe. And I love that word. You know, our soul tribe is those people who believe what we believe. And even if they're not people who believe exactly what we believe, they believe in respecting our beliefs. And that
Absolutely.
allows them to be part of our tribe.
Absolutely. You always say this, Dan, that when you understand your why, what you do has greater impact.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is I help people to discover their why, their full operating system, and
Right.
stand in their power. They no longer feel bad or as the outlier, the weird person because they're challenged. They now understand that's my superpower. It's my unique contribution, and I'm going to stand in that. And it just revitalizes the person, it revitalizes the team, and it's super
Mhm.
powerful. One of the things I did a couple of years before I met you was read the book called The Purpose Driven Life by
Yes.
Rick Warren. And that's where this idea of living purpose driven came. And there's a quote that I always remember, and it goes like this: without God, life has no purpose. Without purpose, life has no meaning. Without meaning, life has no significance or hope. That's
Mm,
at the core of everything I do is helping people discover their why,
right.
discovering how, discovering what, so that they can show up impact on the world that they were created. They were created and they get
Right.
to design their life based on how they were created. They just don't know it.
Yes. Well, we show the video, right, James? I know you use it. We talk about there are a lot of people walking around out there that are really good at what they're doing. It's not that they're bad,
No,
but when you know your why, there's just a different energy, right? That you're going to
that's
bring
it.
to everything that you bring when you know yourself. So you help people discover not just their why, but their whole operating system. And you call it the personal operating system. So there's the stuff that you bring, but then
Yeah,
there's their why operating system, which is a part of that.
it's
So
a
you're
huge part of that
incorporating it all together, right?
altogether. And the thing about it, energy, that's the key. A lot of people I work with are very successful, highly decorated and high achievers, and they're good at what they do, but they aren't
Mhm.
all energized by what they do. And so what
Right.
I help people distinguish is from behavior, from energy. What energizes you, what drains you. And if you line up in your why and the operating system and you spend more time in the zone of genius, we call it, right? This is all
Right.
part of that. Then you
Sure.
have more energy. I call it like this, Dan. It's like mid-air refueling. When you go through your week, you get filled back up because you're staying focused in your why and doing less of the things that drain you.
Love that. It's absolutely, we only have so much energy,
That's
right?
right.
So when you're doing those things that energize you, you have energy for those. Not so there's some things, and you know this from the Colby, some things give us energy, some things are energy neutral, and some things drain our energy. So you want to
Absolutely.
do those things that give you energy before you do those things that drain your energy, because you got to do some of those things you have to do. Well, tell me
Absolutely.
about this. We've kind of talked about it a little bit. How did you learn about Why Institute and what made you decide to join? Take us through that decision process, because I know a lot of coaches are watching and saying, "Okay, tell us how that went."
I honestly think it was an email from you through LinkedIn, Dan. You reached out to me and said, "Hey, I've been reviewing your profile. You seem to fit what we're looking for. Would you be interested?" And we all get a million of those, right? Hey, I want to
Right.
help you grow your business. And so, but again, you had me at why. Like in there, it said why. And I went, quickly on the Why Institute. That's the same why that I talk about why. This
Right.
is a better way to do it, which before I knew better way. And that was it. I said, yeah. But other than that, I don't take those typically. I
Right.
delete those when they show up in my LinkedIn. But it really was the why, honestly.
Yeah. So we had you at why. I mean, like I said, we get on the phone call. You got remember your why right behind you. I said,
Yeah.
Dan, you had better do well with this client because he wants to talk about why. So we had a great conversation. How now we talked about how you incorporate it into your work.
Yeah.
How has learning your why operating system affected your personal life? I know you
Man.
do this with your wife and you guys are partners. So tell me about that.
She's the first person I did. When I got my 5 free, I did it with my wife.
Uh-huh.
She's trust, right way, contribute, right?
Okay.
And so she did that. She's in sales. She's like you, Dan. She does what you
Yeah.
do, business development.
Yeah.
And the first thing she did is she started changing the way she introduced herself to people. Hi, my name is Kimberly. I believe success happens when you build strong trust in relationships by doing things the right way to contribute. And she does it. She works in a role that really helps people in education that have fallen out of the system. And just a huge cause. And it really helped her stand in her power. The
Yeah.
interesting thing between the two of us, with her being trust, I learned that for trust people, when you better do what you say what you do.
Right.
And there've been times where I make a plan. I love to plan, just love to plan, but I'm also very flexible, go with the flow, right? And if it's
Right.
Thursday night and we were supposed to do something, but I look in her eyes and she's tired and I'm thinking, let's just stay home and relax. For her, it was like, but we said we were going to do this. And if I change that, I lose some trust. And I didn't understand that till I went through this with her. Also, Dan, she's right way. And I now understand she's right way. And her right way for her is synonymous with my way. So her way is the right way and I'm better way. So we have a lot of what I call intense fellowship discussions in my house about right way versus better way.
I remember when I had a sales team under me, I remember there was a guy that worked for me, he called it carefrontations, not confrontation. It was a carefrontation because we care about each other. We're going to have a carefrontation with each other. And, Bella, who's on our team, her why is trust. And she's the same way.
God bless him.
Don't go changing plans on Bella without, that's what we're going to do. Wait a minute. People are counting on us to be there, right? So let's not change that plan. Very important. That's tremendous insight.
Huge. The other thing, Dan, that I learned is it gives you this common language and it lets you depersonalize the interaction. It's not you, me, it's your better way. Your makes sense. Your simplify. Right. So it allows you to have a conversation with someone you're close and not feel attacked or judged, because it's just recognizing this is your unique superpower. And that superpower shows up with mine this way. Sometimes they complement really well. Sometimes they have a little friction, but it's the superpower. It's not you. And so that's really helps us to have healthy carefrontation conversation.
Well, James, your coach, Krista Martin, right? She's right way all the way. And I can see where you need that coach to bring you in, because a lot of people say, well, right ways aren't going to get along so well with better ways. And there, of course, there's going to be that friction. But when you realize what you bring to each other, right? Krista is all about structure. She's all about systems and processes. James is not going to have a system and process in place unless
nothing it's practical. That's right.
And you're going to change it a lot because you're always looking for a better way. And she's going to say, look, this works. Why are we going to change it? Right.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
We get on a call and I start talking and Krista starts drawing pictures. She's got markers and drawing pictures. She says, here's what I heard you say and here's how you should do it. And I take it and she sends me screenshots and I run with it until I get to the next point. And it works so well because she is that detailed, process oriented. I'm like this, Dan. I jump out of the plane and I grow my wings on the way down and I fly. That's how I go. That's how I roll. And she keeps me landing smoothly with the right way.
Right. And the right way, people that are listening are like, how can you do that? Right. You've got a plan and trust. And what do you mean you didn't have it? You just jumped out of the plane. That's what you'll do when you've got better way. Hey, listen, we'll figure something out. We're going to go fast. Right. Love that. Tell me about this. I know that we work with a lot of people. Yeah. Not all of them have that interesting story. You're a veteran.
Yes.
You're a business leader. Tell me, when we met and we figured out, okay, James, here's your why operating system. Your why is to find a better way. Your how is to simplify, and your what is to contribute.
Yep.
One of the things I love doing is let's get that story. Tell me some story. Tell me about a time that you found a better way to do something. You did it by simplifying, and ultimately you contributed. When you went back, how many of those stories did you find?
Like every day that happens. And here's a cool part, Dan. When I teach this, I tell people, here's how you activate it. Start telling people ahead of time your why, your how, your what, as a disclaimer on why the next thing is going to come out of your mouth, right? So I'll say to people, hey, listen, my how is simplify. So you're going to get from me 3 bullets. You're going to get an acronym. You're going to get a story. Just know that's what you're going to get from me. And so they just know from James, it's going to be simple. I was in church one Sunday and the pastor was talking about purpose. There's another guy who coaches purpose. And he looked at this guy and said, hey, don't you have a 15 question process to get to purpose? This guy nodded his head. He pointed to me. How many is yours, James? I said 3. I get the purpose in 3. I make everything simple. So I'm continually simplifying, always looking for better way. Obviously, with better ways, our challenge is it's never good enough. We're permanently dissatisfied, right? And so we have to say what's good enough. So I have to kind of start out before letting go of continuing to ideate better ways, because that's enjoyable for me, and really land on what's good enough.
I love that. So how have you, so we've got the, how has your messaging changed, James? Because a lot of people that I talk to say, well, I've got messaging. I'm working on that already. But how did you change the way you message your business since you found out your WHY operating system?
Yeah, again, I was always talking about this idea of purpose-driven living on purpose. And now when I could talk about why I do what I do and what you're going to get from me if you work with me, I'm going to help you get to the dreams and visions you want, because better way is what drives me. It's going to be very simple, and ultimately it'll create value and significance in your lives. I mean, that's the way I talk.
I love that. And tell me this. I as you know, in business development, I'm always talking to people that haven't heard of us before, haven't heard of our system. If you had someone call you and they said, you know what, I'm on the fence. Dan's talking to me about becoming WHY.os certified. Here's what he said. What would you say to someone that's on the fence?
Man, I'd say, first thing I'd say is lace up your Nikes and just do it. That's where I'd start. Just jump in the water and do it. The strategies, the vision, the mindsets, the energy, all the resources and support. Like, I'm in a couple of other different groups, Dan, and there's not a group that I'm connected with that has so much support and resources as working with the WHY Institute. Back to your, how do I apply it? When that presentation, you and I worked on the presentation from a webinar, I simplified taking the 9 rank order, and I used the 2 questions. Remember that?
Right.
To this day, I was talking to Eileen, shout out to Eileen out there in Data Point. And I was saying, I do the 2 questions and I walk people through that. It's simple. They get it. At the end, I have every client stand up wherever they are and read their full WHY.os statement. And just to watch them light up on the screen, when they recognize their superpower and they stand in it, they will no longer take judgment from anybody, condemnation or shame. This is who I am. And so I would say the resources, the support, the tool, like, it's to the point, Dan, I could do a class this afternoon. I don't have to prepare, because you guys have done the work. You have the strategies. You help us understand how to honestly monetize it. For a 3-hour WHY.os, I charge $5,000, and companies pay it. And then there's a second team WHY.os, and it can continue on, and that can result in one-on-one coaching. So there is a huge income stream from one encounter with the client to maximize the ROI on anything that it costs us to get started. So again, put on your Nikes if you're thinking about it. Step out in faith. Many times we want clear understanding of the destination before we move. But the fact is, clarity comes from looking in the rearview mirror. We have to take action, then we get confident, then we generate momentum, and then we achieve our results. So just do it.
Man, that I love that. We're gonna record that. I know Bella is gonna take that and record it. And we're gonna share it with other people. I love the what you're saying is you just have to take action sometimes. And like you did, right? You jumped in, you sold it. You weren't ready. You hadn't finished. You hadn't started trading. You already sold the workshop, and then you went on and then created your presentation. We worked on it together. I want to give a shout out to the WHY Force. That's what we call our internal team. WHY Force.
Awesome.
So awesome. Aiden, Bella, Lynette, Sunil, Rafiq. He's our tech guru.
Yeah.
And of course, Maria, who kind of runs the whole show.
She runs the show.
You know, they're making it happen behind the scenes so that we give you excellent support. So I really, really appreciate you giving them a shout out for everything that they do. You know, you came in, James, before we had the automated WHY.os.
That's right.
So that first workshop you did, you had to do some work. It took you, like you said, 2 to 3 hours of hard work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How has having the automated WHY.os discovery changed the way your practice runs?
So here's what I've chosen to do. If I'm going to meet with someone to consider them as a partner, I'll use the WHY.os to get them all the way quickly. Then we have a conversation. But for me, with clients and with the workshops, I love the interactive experience of going through it. So I'm still doing the old school, ask the 2 questions. And what's cool about it is others then weigh in and go, yeah, that is you. Yeah. And it just kind of helps to confirm for people as they go through that. Because here's the thing, Dan, knowledge plus experience equals the true head and heart transformation, right? And so if you just get the knowledge too fast, you don't get to experience it. You don't have that transformation take place before the encounter's over. So I still kind of work through that process. And in other cases where I want to go better way fast, I'll take them all the way to WHY.os. So it just depends on what the need is for me.
Yeah, we just had a comment from Tanika. She just joined us very recently. I know she just finished training. She said, awesome anointed counsel, James Madison. So
Thank you.
Kudos from Tanika to you. One of the things that some of the, I've been around this long enough that we used to do the why manually, just the why. So, and when we went from the why manually to walking people through it, asking the questions to get to why, to the automated why discovery, everybody said, well, I'm missing out on that experience of getting to know people. Same thing now, when we went from the WHY.os to the doing it, you automated, a lot of people said that. What I have found is you can still have that time in those stories.
Yes,
you're just doing it afterward. And now you're not guessing on what's going to come out. Right.
Absolutely.
So you probably have a lot, just like I did earlier with you. So tell me about a time.
Yeah.
Where you found a better way to do something. You simplified it. You did it by simplifying and ultimately contributed to someone's success. We can still do that.
Absolutely.
What about what's the biggest breakthrough that you've had once you know somebody's why operating system? Maybe it sounds like it might have happened with your why with your wife, but anyone else where, maybe you were butting heads before, but now that you've understand them at this level, things are flowing better.
Yeah, I think I was coaching a client 2 days ago, and hers is identical to my wife. So I understand exactly how she operates. And I told her, tell your husband to call me. I can give him the keys to you, because my wife is exactly the same. Trust and right way and contribute. And so we were talking about something about her getting overwhelmed and taking on too much, right? And I know that's trust. I heard that kick in. So we really broke that down. And what at the root was this belief that had been developed, a false belief around I'm not enough at a young age, right? So imagine taking the lie of I'm not enough and adding it to trust, which is doing everything, even at your own expense, to prove you're trustworthy. So as we dove into that and we really got deep, we got to the root of that using trust as kind of that springboard. And she said to me, in an hour, this is the best session we've ever had. Like, to really get to the root, not just fix the thing today, but to fix the thing that will prevent the things from happening in the future, was amazing. And I just referenced back to that when I heard her speak. I connected to that trust, and she clearly got it. And we went from there. It was amazing.
Excellent job. Well, James, we're out of time. I know that Bella and Lynette are going to love that we finish on time, especially the quick start guys that love to talk. And we're going to finish right on time. Is there a question I haven't asked you that you want to make sure we talk about today?
Again, I just think the question is, for me, there was never hesitation. And I would just tell people clarity comes from taking imperfect action. My coach says imperfect action. Then you learn and you get confident, then you gain momentum, and then you run. So I would say, again, just do it.
James, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I missed you. I know we talk on text all the time.
That's right.
But it's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. I love that we started Why Not Wednesdays because, we've had so many new coaches join. The monthly show was not enough so I could feature you guys. And I had to go back and say, wait a minute, we haven't had James Madison on. So we had to get you back on. And I love this interaction today. Really appreciate you. Have a great rest of the week. And I know I'll be talking to you soon.
Absolutely. And see everybody else in the Y family.
All right, brother.
Take care, man.